Hi guys, welcome to my office. I am at Inspirit today. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the goddess you and angels and what that means and the goddess you and what that means for you, because I've gotten a lot of questions about the goddess you and why I wrote it, and what it has to do with, what does it really mean. And it all kind of goes back to the same topic of angels. So that's why I wanted to talk about angels today. And angelic guidance is quite incredible, right? It's lovely, it's pure, and it's from God. And God is the divine. So anything that works with God, say angels, archangels, saints, and our loved ones even, can come through as a guidance for us. And that being said, the angels are what guided me to writing The Goddess You. The Goddess You first started as an idea, a course. And from that course, it kind of steamrolled forward into being a book. But back up before it even became a course. Let's back up where the idea came from. So as I was working on my alignment and purifying the things in my life that needed to be purified, healing the things I needed to heal, I was paying attention to these nudges, these little nudges I would get from spirit, these little feelings that I would get within me to say, move past something or forgive something. The biggest nudge that I finally listened to was the one to stop drinking coffee. And that was a pretty big and hard thing for me to do. The coffee was something I was really addicted to. I really loved my cup of coffee, although I didn't want to admit I had an addiction. But I had to have that cup of coffee every single morning, and it was two. I wouldn't drink it throughout the day, so that's why I didn't think it was an addiction. But this nudge kept coming to not drink coffee. So at the time, I was also having some health issues. I was very cystic. I was having perimenopause, which a lot of women can understand, and I didn't understand that my body was in an acidic tone. So I finally listened to this nudge, and I put away my Keurig, and I stopped drinking coffee, and I went out and I got myself some green tea. And I knew green tea was a little bit higher vibration, had antioxidants in it, so that's why I chose the green tea over black tea for myself. And I started to feel better. I started to notice that I just was less foggy. So I liked that, and I listened to that nudge. And so I kind of jotted that down in my journal and how I felt. And then came the next nudge. And that was to kind of move out of a relationship that was really toxic. And that kind of started happening already. And I allowed the angels to kind of guide me on that. And it was really painful, but then it was really beautiful, because I learned on exiting that relationship, what I had put out was what I was getting back. I learned that the person that was giving me the agita was actually teaching me, was there to teach me and help me to grow. So that was really beautiful. So I could release this person with love, with kindness, and with respect that they taught me something. They taught me something about myself. So this angelic guidance was like, I don't know, just amazing. I felt like this was something everybody needed to know. So I kind of let that settle, and I moved on to the next one. And every time I followed these nudges, this guidance, the tone, the messages got a little clearer. They got a little brighter. And I could feel the energy more. And I always knew it was angels. I just, in the beginning, didn't know the nudge was the angels, until I started to follow, until I started writing and being in that alignment. So when I did, and when I let go of that fear and I started to have faith, I opened my prayer back up. I had kind of closed that off a little bit, just due to being busy and being a mom, and no real big reasons, but I kind of let my faith kind of have the back door. And now it was time to bring my faith forward. It was time to really embrace, that feeling I used to have when I was a little girl and was in church, and I was part of the choir and I would sing, and this was my connection, and I loved it, and I wanted that back. So that's what I started to do. And I noticed that my body felt better. I noticed that my moods were better. I noticed that inside just felt more alive, because I was honoring myself. I was honoring God, and it was not about a religion. It was more about just honoring than it was about any particular religious practice. But my faith was growing, and it was growing in myself. I was learning that self-love was the most important thing. I was so fearful and so angry with who I had become that I was toxic. I was just not nice. I was not nice to myself, and I probably wasn't nice to others, which is not who I ever wanted to be. So I learned to say I was sorry. I learned to forgive, and I learned to love myself. I learned to take myself out on like little lunch dates and just be with myself, which is really important. And I talk about this a lot on my radio show, because when we self-love, we're nurturing, we're honoring what God has given us. We are using our gifts to expand, which is so beautiful. So after I got all of these tools, all of this guidance, is when I wrote the course. After the nudges became part of my everyday, I started to utilize the tools more and more. I realized there was a pattern, and so I meditated and I asked the angels, is this a system? And that's when the answer started to come a little clearer, and I could get that, yes, this is a system. This, as simplistic as they are, complex as they are in some ways, hard to implement at other times, these are the tools in order to move and be in that alignment. And they're really important things when we want to be the best that we can be, when we're unsure of who we are, or when we have a job to fulfill and we don't know what that job is. There are many of us that have gotten lost in our lives. That's why I wrote The God Is You, because I was lost and I needed to be found. I needed to find myself. And I needed to remember. I needed to remember my truths. So The God Is You is that journey. It's the journey I share along the way, some of the things that I went through, and I share the tools and the tips that the angels taught me in order to get to that alignment. The tools and tips on how to self-love and how to recognize when fear has taken over and you have an addiction to it. And that's a really big one. A fear addiction is something that a lot of people live with, most people. We put fear first and love back. Fear first and love back. So think about fear and what that means. The fear to, in a negative tone, to say, I can't, I won't, I don't. And love is, I hope, I wish, I'll pray. So fear gets in the way of a lot of our movement, positive, forward, and understanding our path and who we are. So learning how to self-love is obviously one of the first lessons in the book. So I give you tips and tools on how to do that. And along with that, I also wrote the journal. The God Is You journal is a nice, easy format journal with really beautiful pages. I will show you. I don't know if you can see there's like a little design on there. So it's broken up into the 12 principles of the God Is You, and broken down really simple into each section has journal prompts to help you just get a little more in depth with the self-love, a little more in depth with each one of the principles. So for instance, let me read number 11 for you. Silence opens up new feelings and views. Share with me how you are embracing these feelings and views and how these changes are felt in your body. Don't be shy with the details. Nancy drew it. So it gives you the questions, and it gives you the ability to really sink in and give as much information as you really want to give. You don't have to let anybody see your journal. It's yours personal, but it works really well to go with the book because it's the whole package. From there, once you have those tools and you're able to move forward, I'm also going to be offering the course, and the course is going to be done in a workshop. So it'll be hands-on, it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to break those into 4 easy to go workshops. That's the reason for the God Is You. The reason because you're worth it. The reason is because you should live the best life that you want to live. And in order to get there, you have to unveil, you have to peel back some of those pains and those things that have built up before you that have blocked your view to who you can be or who you truly are. So I hope that helps, and if you have some questions, I would love to answer them. I'm available. You can send me an email at jeannie@jeanniestreet.com, and we can talk about angels. We can talk about how you can connect with your angels, how you can follow the guidance. Once you're in alignment, once you follow the 12 steps, it'll be much easier for you to know what is guidance and what is fear talking, what is truth and what is non-truth. So in that reality, in that clearing up process, is when you'll really be able to be in that alignment and know what the angels are saying. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you have a really spectacular day, and you are the goddess you. Thanks for joining.